Today in this tutorial we are going to discuss about the data models in DBMS. So a data model in database management system DBMS is the concept of tools that are developed to summarize the description of the database. Data model in database management system DBMS is the concept of tools that are developed to summarize the description of the database. Data models provide us with a transparent picture of data which helps us in creating an actual database. It shows us from the design of the data to its proper implementation of data. Types of relational models. So in this tutorial we will cover the data models in DBMS. Okay, and if there is some time, then we will also cover the data mining models, or else we will cover it in the next tutorial. So data models in DBMS, types of relational model. First is the conceptual data model, second one is representation data model, and third one is the physical data model. So that is what the types of models. Conceptual data model, representational data model, physical data model. It is basically classified into three types. First is it is basically classified into three types. First is the data model. Data model is divided into three parts. One is the conceptual data model. Second one is the representational data model, and third one is the physical data model. So what is conceptual data model? The conceptual data model describes the database at a very high level, and it is useful to understand the needs or requirements of the database. It is the model that is used in the requirement gathering process. Like that, before the database designer start making a particular database, one such popular model is the entity relationship model, or ER model. The ER model specializes in entity relationships and event attributes that are used by database designers. In terms of this concept, a discussion can be made even with non-computer science or non-technical users and stakeholders, and their requirements can be understood. So next is the entity relationship model, ER model. It is a high level data model. It is a high level data model which is used to define the data and the relationships between them. It is basically a conceptual design of any database which is easy to design the view of data. Components of ER model. First is entity, second one is attributes, third one is relationship. So what is entity? An entity is referred to as a real world object. It can be name, place, object, class, etc. These are represented by a rectangle in a ER diagram. Second one is the attributes. An attribute can be defined as the description of the entity. So these are represented by ellipse in an ER diagram. It can be age, roll number, marks for a student. Third one is the relationship. Relationships are used to define relations among different entities. Diamonds, rhombus are used to show relationships. Okay. Next is the characteristics of a conceptual data model. So this is offer organization-wide coverage of the business concepts. This type of data models are designed and developed for a business audience. The conceptual model is developed independently of hardware specifications like data storage, capacity, location, or software specifications like DBMS, vendor, and technology. The focus is to represent data as a user will see it in a real world. Conceptual data models known as domain models create a common vocabulary for all stakeholders by establishing basic concepts and scope. Okay, so second one is the representational data model. This type of data model is used to represent only the logical part of the database and does not represent the physical structure of the database. The representational data model allows us to focus primarily on the design part of the database. A popular representational model is a relational model. The relational model consists of relational algebra and relational calculus. In the relational model, we basically use tables to represent our data and the relationships between them. It is a theoretical concept whose practical implementation is done in physical data model. The advantages of using a representational data model is to provide a foundation to form the base for the physical model. So this is all over the representation or representational data model. So there are another things like physical data model, characteristics of a physical data model, some other data models like hierarchical model, network model, object oriented data model, float data model, context data model, semi-structured data model. So what is the advantages of data model? So this is the geeksforgeeks.org data models in DBMS. You can follow this URL. With this URL, you can visit the website and you can learn more about the other data models because there are lots of data models. I am giving some overview of the data models today. So advantages of data models. Data models helps us in representing data accurately. Data model helps us in representing the data accurately. It helps us in finding the missing data. It helps us in finding the missing data and also in minimizing data redundancy. And also in minimizing data redundancy. Data model provides data security in a better way. Data models provides data security in a better way. The data model should be detailed enough. The data model should be detailed enough to be used for building the physical database. The information in the data model can be used for defining the relationship between tables, primary and foreign keys and stored procedures. So these are all the advantages of the data model. Next is disadvantages of data models. In the case of the vast databases, sometimes it becomes difficult to understand the data model. In the case of a vast database, sometimes it becomes difficult to understand the data model. you must have the proper knowledge of SQL to use physical models. Even some smaller change in structure requires modification in the entire application. There is no set data manipulation language in DBMS. Next is, to develop data model, one should know physical data stored characteristics. So this is the conclusion part or summary part. So to summarize all things, data model is the process of developing data model for the data to be stored in database. Data models ensure consistency in naming conventions, default values, semantics, security, while ensuring quality of data. Data model structure helps to define the relational tables, primary and foreign keys, and stored procedures. There are three types of: conceptual, logical, physical. So the main aim of conceptual model is to establish the entities, their attributes, and the relationships. Logical data model defines the structure of the data elements and set the relationships between them. A physical data model describes the database specific implementation of a data model. The main goal of a designing data model is to make certain that data objects offered by the functional team are represented accurately. So there are lots of videos and blogs are available over Google. You have to just search and check what is data model in DBMS and why it is used. Okay. I'm not sure why these ads are coming over here. Anyway, so this is the concepts of the data model. You have to follow this website to learn some more things over there, because there are lots of parts of data modeling, and from this website you can learn about aptitudes, engineering, mathematics, then discrete mathematics, operating system, DBMS, computer networks, and all. So thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe. In case any issues, you can comment down in the comment section. Share and subscribe this video.